I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing funds.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go along that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they weren't talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got that.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Tomorrow, Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but an erratic detective, is Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why an African slap an Indian? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, Gildarie, you deal with that. You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Gildarie, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Hi there. Welcome to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show, wherever you are. Good evening, good morning, good night, good afternoon. Different time zones, but the world has been reduced to one village because you have your smartphone or your smart TV, wherever you are, Asia, Africa, the Caribbean, far afield, wherever you are, you can get us, and you have been getting us. One announcement before we go on. One of our guests, parliamentarian Dharam Kumar Siraj, who has been here twice before, cannot make it. He was in Berbice for the entire morning and afternoon, and he came down with not feeling well syndrome. One can understand that. So we will have a Siraj again in the coming weeks or the coming months. This program this evening is devoted to an issue that all of Guyana is talking about, the Venezuelan issue. It's been talked about since Maduro, the president of Venezuela, announced that he will have a referendum to ask the people of Venezuela about Venezuelan ownership of the Essequibo. And rightfully, Guyana has been galvanized both locally and internationally to stop this man and his nonsense. We've taken the matter to the World Court, and very, very powerful friendly countries to Guyana have been giving Guyana assurances. So this evening we have two guests. Mr. Siraj, Member of Parliament, couldn't make it. The two other guests, interestingly, have military background. They were former military officials in the Guyana Defense Force. One of them is the recently demitted mayor of Georgetown, who is a practicing Hindu Pandit, Ubraj Narine. He is in the reserve of the Army as a staff sergeant. Our other guest is Malcolm Harrypaul, who rose to the rank of lieutenant in the Guyana Defense Force, and in his subsequently career, just 3 years ago, was an official in the APNU AFC government. Our issue this evening is Venezuela and other topics, but we'd like to hear our guest's view, given their military background, of what they think. A number of questions we would like to ask both of them. What is their position? How do they feel about the possibility of Venezuela initiating military action against Guyana? Do they believe that is a distinct possibility or no possibility at all? Secondly, what is Maduro up to? What do they feel Maduro is up to? Can they contextualize what is happening with him and his so-called referendum in Venezuela? Thirdly, are they sufficiently assured that we are all in tune with our patriotic country, our patriotic feelings, whatever cultural, religious, ethnic, political difference we have? This is our country, this is Guyana. It has been a pivotal part of the Caribbean integration movement, and it has just catapulted itself onto the world scene by one of the largest oil deposits in the world. In fact, there may be just 2 or 3 countries whose deposits are greater than Guyana. So those are some of the issues we'll be discussing this evening. We did have on our program 2 experts discussing Venezuela. That was Neville December Jr., who worked at the Foreign Ministry and in CARICOM as a legal advisor, and Dr. Mark Curtin, Latin American expert. So you can go to YouTube or Guyanese Critic Facebook page, type in Gildarie Freddie Show, and type in Neville December, Mark Curtin, and you will hear their views on Maduro and his, to use a strong word, nonsense. The conclusion by both of those men is that they do not think an invasion will happen, not even remotely so. There is a new television station online. It's called Guyana TV Network. That new entity, you go to Google and you type in Guyana TV Network. When it comes up, there is a discussion program, and I was invited to discuss Venezuela, and I gave my thoughts and opinion about this controversy on the referendum and the possibility of Venezuela initiating military action against us. It's broadcasted at 2 p.m. every Sunday, so you can get my views on that program. It's called Guyana in Conversation, and you can get it by going to Google and type in Guyana TV Network. When the app comes up, you will see all the shows on that platform. So, without any delay, our guest, former mayor of Georgetown, Reserve Staff Sergeant in the Army, Guyana Defense Force, former Staff Sergeant, and practicing Hindu Pandit, and someone I have known for the past 50 years, Malcolm Harrypaul, who rose to the rank of lieutenant in the Army. We go alphabetically always when we have more than one guest. So my first question to Malcolm, which will be the same to Pandit Narine. What is the possibility, do you think, of any military nonsense from Venezuela?
Well, Freddie, thank you for having me on the show, and very good evening to all our viewers out there. The possibility of Venezuela annexing Essequibo is real. I mean, when we look on the international scene, what's going on there, due to very, very weak American leadership, we can see rogues all over the world doing their own things, like Putin invading Ukraine, like Hamas attacking Israel and slaughtering Israeli babies on the 7th of October this year. And we can see China taking actions in the China Sea there against those peaceful countries like the Philippines and Indonesia, and against Japan. We see North Korea firing off a satellite into orbit. So there is a movement by what I call rogues to do their own thing in the absence of strong American leadership. And I can see that Maduro, encouraged by the Chinese and by the Russians, he will be encouraged to take over Essequibo to get the access to new oil fields, because in Venezuela, the Venezuelans today probably own less than 30% of the oil industry, because the rest, 70% of our industry, is indebted and owned by China and Iran. So I see a real possibility of Venezuela moving to take over the Essequibo. Bearing in mind that in 1968, they took over the island Ankoko.
Pandit?
Oh yes, Freddie, thank you very much for having me on your show. It's a pleasure every time to be here. Good evening to our viewers. Analyzing the statement up to last evening, I was looking at the statement of Maduro with his people, and he prompt and aggressively saying to his people that we will move after the 3rd of December, when the referendum voted on to annex or to take over a large part of Guyana, which is the Essequibo. And that is worrisome, and I believe in the manner he are going, and his vice president make mention, even the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, that nothing will stop them after the 3rd of December. No paper, no order from the ICJ. So it's worrisome, and this is a serious matter for our government, our people, our opposition, and civil society, NGOs, everyone. We have to put our hands together to see the best interests to protect our nation. But the way Maduro is speaking, he will certainly move after the 3rd of December. That is how I view it.
Okay, well, Malcolm, I am unhappy with your a part of your presentation, and I don't think I could sit here and put it the way you have put it, that the Hamas went over to Israel and slaughtered babies. I mean, one has to hide one head in the sand to think that you could mention that without mentioning that never in the history of the world, you've had a military bombing of another place and 4,000 children have been killed. But let's I just wanted to say that, and I don't want to, I think you have the right to respond to that. If you want to, then you can, and then we could move on. Do you?
I'll stay with the Venezuela thing. You're entitled to your view. You believe that. You're a believer in that cause. So there's nothing I can show you that will convince you otherwise, that they went in and slaughtered Jewish babies.
But why?
I'm telling you, they went in. Let me explain to you. They killed 60 babies. 40 of the babies, they beheaded them.
That's not
then
true.
They shot them in the
That's
head.
not
and
true.
They used the head to play football.
They have produced.
I saw
you didn't
the
see
video.
that. You saw that in your imagination.
The other 20 babies, they put them in ovens and incinerated them live.
Malcolm,
right?
Stop that nonsense, please.
It's not nonsense. I've seen the video.
Nonsense.
I've seen videos of it. Even if you see the video, you still will not believe it. Because
you believe.
Because for ideological reasons. Because you're leftist.
You believe.
Because you're leftist, you're anti-Israel, you're anti-American. So you'll never believe it.
Malcolm, I can't believe you're capable of talking such nonsense, you know.
Well,
I can't. The world opinion,
Which world opinion?
Malcolm, what world are you living in? It has been broadcasted all over the world by Western media that the cutting off the head of the babies was fiction.
It's not fiction, it's true. It's true. Anyhow, let's move on. You're going to talk about Venezuela or you're going to go to Hamas now?
Well, I don't want to talk. I don't want to
You
talk
see, there,
about...
there we go.
No,
You
there
bring
we
us to
go.
talk about
No, there we
Venezuela,
go. I expected...
and you want to go talk about Israel.
No. But your thing about Israel I expected some maturity from you about that nonsense you're hearing about babies being heads being cut off. It first started and it was proven to be incorrect.
Yeah,
But anyway,
man. Hey, I saw the video.
let's go. Let's
You
you can see, Malcolm, for a man of your age, do you know how ridiculous it sounds that you could see a video of something and say you saw? I could produce a video.
No, it sounds
Do you know
ridiculous
what
to you.
artificial intelligence can do? I could produce a video with you saying things that you have not said. No, you laugh. You think it's funny.
have to laugh.
What world you living in? I could bring a video of you saying things that are absolutely uncivilized, and you're there filming, saying it. That's what artificial intelligence could do. They could put you in a position, the words could look like it's coming out of your mouth. Maybe you're the only person in the world that would see a video and say, oh, I saw that video, it's real. But anyway, let's get on. Let's pick up from what Pandit Narine said. We have, as a people, to go out there and instill patriotism and optimism in people. My own feeling is that the world would not allow Venezuela to invade Guyana. And I did say in the program, which is coming up on Sunday on Guyana TV network, I've given my reasons. And one of the reasons is there is too much at stake for the Brazilians and the Americans to allow a wild man like Maduro to invade a CARICOM country. Pandit, do you
Yes, you have Brazil, you have the United States of America, but you have to analyze something. And I am not anti-American. I believe in the American United States policies of some of their policies.
I don't know why Malcolm think I'm anti-American. I'm anti and pro everything.
And I can say this: there are a lot of frictions and a lot of things that taking place in the world today. Because when you do analyze Venezuela, where the U.S. lift sanctions from Venezuela, it gives you a different view as well. The reason why America did that, they say they want Maduro promise free and fair election. And if he don't deliver that, recently a statement was issued from the White House saying that all sanction will apply, or all license will withdraw again. So it is worrisome. I didn't see anything from the White House on this border issue that much. But I can say to you, Freddie,
the Americans have supported us.
Yeah,
Americans on record.
I can say this to you. CARICOM heads of government, in their wisdom, in 2007, endorsed a decision of a fourth special meeting of the Bureau that will revise the territory and security and border and all these things. I hope and pray that CARICOM look at that report and able to scrutinize that report and the strategies within that report in 2007, where different state met and come up with something. Because Maduro, looking at this guy, the president of Venezuela, very aggressively. He's very aggressive, and he is saying to his people, big march in Venezuela, Essequibo will be annexed by Venezuela. But Brazil, I believe Brazil also play a pivotal role in both Guyana and Venezuela, where Brazil would not want to see a war or that kind of chaos between Guyana and Venezuela. So I hope and pray that Brazil also can step in and offer some peacekeeping among these two countries. We want peace, We want peace. We don't want war. We don't want any chaos. We don't want conflict. I in full support of the government of the day for peace and for our people and for our nation.
Yeah, well, Freddie, building on what I said earlier about the international situation, I come now to the national and the local situation. And look, at the national level, we have a government that is weak when it comes to patriotism to Guyana. And people talk about the claims that Venezuela resuscitated in the 1960s. And academics and historians do not say what prompted Venezuela to make the claims that they made in the 1960s in Venezuela, when the matter was settled in 1899. And it goes back to the Cold War, when the Jagans, Janet Jagan and Chenny Jagan, their forced loyalty was to war communists.
Malcolm, you know,
are you going to allow me to finish my point?
I'm telling you something.
No.
Just listen to me.
Are you going to let me finish my point?
No, I am not. I am not going to provide a forum with Venezuela aggression on this country. And I expect everyone, including a former army official, you've taken a tone that will cause me to bring this program to an end. I am not.
Excuse me.
No.
Tell me, why did Venezuela make the claim in 1966?
I am not going to allow any person in this country or any person in the world a platform that would not instill in Guyanese the optimism that we will see this thing through. You cannot come on a platform when we have a neighbor that is threatening us and you speak about it in political terms. We have a weak government. That is not the issue. Malcolm, I am seriously believing that I probably have made a mistake. I've invited you because I know you. I know you were a former army officer, but I would bring this program to an end if you do not sit down here and urge the Guyanese people, whatever political leanings we have, that we must gather. As your tone is quite different.
What are you going to defend? What are you going to defend Guyana with? Where is the Guyana National Service? Where is the Guyana People's Militia?
Look,
what are you going to defend Venezuela? What are you going to defend Guyana with?
This is unprecedented.
Just come and talk.
This is unprecedented. I will have to ask you to leave.
Okay, no problem. So I leave. I leave.
Yes.
It's not a big deal.
I am not.
You know?
No. I will have to ask you to leave, and the mayor and I will continue this program.
I need to get out of here, Freddie.
Push the door. Mayor, I make no apology for that. I've known Malcolm Harrypaul, and I think anyone that come on the program with Venezuela being threatened, Venezuela threatening our country, someone can look at it in those kind of narrow terms. I feel that I am providing a platform for someone to criticize my country. That is a mistake I have made. I don't believe anyone would come on this program and speak about Venezuelan aggression in those terms, that people are rogue nations all over the world, and based on what those rogue nations are doing, Venezuela would invade us, that our government is weak. This is not time for talking about weakness of government. This is no time for talking about political differences. This is time to educate our people and instill optimism in our people. These things happen. You invite people here and they say things that are not supported by the host, but we have as a matter of principle and courtesy to let people have a different say. People come on this program and they criticize the government badly. People come on this program and they think the opposition is a terrible organization. That is their right. We can agree, we can disagree. There is absolutely no room for us to disagree on the sovereignty and security of our country. That invited Malcolm Harrypaul. I have known him for a very long time, and I thought as a former soldier, he would come and put the thing in military perspective, talk about the nonsense or what Maduro is doing, that Maduro is doing this thing to save his face in
his country.
And that we have protection of the United States and Brazil. To allow him a platform to spew that nonsense, it's dangerous to our country. It's an unpatriotic dissent.
Let me move on, please.
Yeah, sure.
Let me move on.
My position is that I do not think the United States and Venezuela and Brazil will allow Maduro to have any military maneuver against Guyana. It's just not in the interest of the United States and Brazil. It's not in the interest of CARICOM. It's not in the interest of South America. That would not happen.
I will agree with you on that terms. I know CARICOM issued statement and several other government entity of the Caribbean issue statement. And that is something we need at this point of time for our country. I believe that also a National Security Council for our country, consideration for managing a national security council, which should be chaired by the president or the prime minister, and this security council should involve both opposition and government, the army, the police force, the militia, and all these things. And also you have to break down the CARICOM also be a part. A representative from CARICOM should be a part of this National Security Council here in Guyana for deal with this issue that we are facing. National Joint Headquarters, National Intelligence Committee, Financial Investigation Unit, National Drug Council, National Emergency Relief Committee. All these people should be involved. Agencies should be involved in this National Security Council, because I believe that we have to come together, whatever political party you may affiliate it to. I believe that this is a time that we all have to join force with our people out there to defend our borders.
But I once again, for those who were watching, I make no apologies for asking Mr. Harrypaul to leave. The issue is the very existence of our country, and the Venezuela claim on Guyana has been settled. Venezuela has raised it up, and it's been taken to the World Court. I would expect everyone in this country to come here and to protect our country, irrespective of who's in government. I cannot allow, as someone who loves this country and believe Venezuela is an aggressor, I cannot allow. This is my platform, the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show. I will be given airtime to someone who I consider is not patriotic. And therefore I have to apologize to the people of this country for making that mistake. I had no idea that Malcolm Harrypaul would take, no human in Guyana would come on a live program and speak about because of what is going on in the world, Venezuela is going to invade us. Venezuela is trying this because the government is weak. Let's move on. Let's move on, Pandit. Let's move on, Pandit Narine, and let's talk about the implications of a Venezuelan aggressive move. Now let's look at the oil thing. This oil find by Guyana has been prodigious. I still do not believe that the international journals and magazines and international academic forums have really assessed the oil find of Guyana. I think it is very, very large, and I believe because of the Exxon's huge investment and expression of interest in staying in Guyana, that oil find is very, very strategic to the United States. Now, take, for example, the billions that will be spent on a headquarters in Ogle by Exxon. That simple building is a large indication that Exxon is going to be in Guyana for decades. You don't invest hundreds of millions of US dollars to build a head office in a country that you're only going to be 10 or 5 years in. No, I think Exxon is going to be here for the long haul. Now, Pandit, the head of Exxon, Mr. Rex Tillerson, showed extreme interest in Guyana's oil prospect, and he took the initiative of searching for oil in Guyana. Shortly after Exxon found it, he became the Secretary of State for the United States. I think Mr. Tillerson has explained to the defense and political establishment of the United States that this country's oil find is very important to the United States. For that reason, I do not believe United States will allow Venezuela to do any nonsense on our borders. Over to you.
Freddie, I am not outruled you on those notes that you make mention of, but we have to understand that this is a different time in the world, and my interest as a Guyanese right now is to work with my people and to put out there that we have to work together to defend our borders. The United States is there, and this is critical for us. We need the support of the United States. We cannot, if Venezuela decide to invade Essequibo, we cannot defend Guyana borders by ourselves. We need other states like the United States, the Caribbean. They will have to help us. Brazil is a main part.
It's a major part.
Major part of this South America zone, and Brazil has to play a pivotal role, and that's why I believe they had many talks about the border issue for the past few months. But United States, the oil here is what actually, I will say this, root up this kind of problem with Maduro. Because Maduro, while we pumping thousands of barrels, Venezuela only pumping a few hundreds of barrels of oils. So Maduro, you know, I find that because we know that we have this kind of richness for our country, where this country will be benefit from these resources, he is trying all kind of angle now to make claim that Essequibo is a part of Venezuela. And I looked at many world map. Essequibo is never part of Venezuela.
It was never, and it will never be.
Yeah.
The world will not allow it.
It is never part of Venezuela. I read only today I read about the Spain, when Spain was ruling Venezuela and so on in the 1402 and 1403. It's a long history, man. And these things settled with Venezuela and Guyana for decades, and this should never happen. And I know for a fact that the world is different. While you may claim that you're getting support this way, but support is also going that way. I'm not pointing finger at the United States of America. I'm not pointing finger at any other nation or country, but we have to be very careful and we have to strategize properly. And that's why I said early in this program, I will work with any government for people to defend our borders.
But let's look at a series of events and then contextualize it with Maduro's referendum. Venezuela has been going through, for want of a cruel crises. Much of it is due to the sanctions of the United States. Part of it is due to the Venezuelan system with Maduro. Now, after a long period of suffering, Venezuela, Maduro appears to be very vulnerable to losing an election. I believe Maduro will lose the next general election in Venezuela. This is what is happening to Maduro now. The United States say, look, we will remove some of the sanctions on the guarantee that there will be free and fair elections. Maduro knows if those sanctions are removed, he has to play his part in the covenant with the United States. He has to allow the opposition jurisdiction.
Freddie,
yeah.
this also is unprecedented. Good night, Mr. Mayor. I must say kudos to you. For tonight, you're the man. You've done the right thing. You understand? And as much as you paid that man his respect, he's a menace to society. Okay. You did the right thing. Carry on smartly.
Sorry about that.
On behalf of the Guyanese people, you are the man, Freddie Kissoon. You're the man.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that interruption. So there is a covenant. We allow you to pump some oil. We allow you to get some foreign exchange. You have to open up the system. But when you open the window, a breeze comes in. If he opens up the system, he's going to lose. What he's doing, he has invented a gambit. If I tell my people that Essequibo belongs to us with those oil fields, I am going to work them up and they're going to see me as a patriot. And he hopes that is going to bring him, that is going to bring him electoral, but it wouldn't work. Even if the Venezuelan vote on December 3rd, that isn't going to bring victory for Maduro. And that is what he's hoping on. I'm telling you, I believe after the referendum, he's going to keep making noise and assessing his electoral chances.
I rule out that, Freddie. I make mention, this gentleman is very moving aggressive, the aggression of his team to annex Venezuela. I make mention, I have a strong belief they will take action, and that's why I make mention that we need all support from the common, the CARICOM, the United States, and all these things. I agree with you. Imperialism is that you covetous someone wealth to keep going as well, is a part. So Maduro is trying to do that as well for his people. Well, tell his people, well, look, we'll get Venezuela, we'll get more oil, and you the people will benefit here. And that would not work. That would not work. As long, and I share the same sentiment with you, because with Venezuela history, with Maduro, it's a disaster for the Venezuelans. And that's why they're leaving that country and they're coming here. They're going to Trinidad, they're going to Brazil to find betterment for their family. And we welcome them here. We welcome them here. We treat them well. And all these things. So Maduro got a different mentality, I believe. And he's trying to persuade his people to join with him. But let us see what will happen after the 3rd of December 2023, with the vote of the referendum. However, Freddie, I'd like to bring something to your attention. I make mention of a national security council. Also, you should have security policy advisor on that committee. And this is a lesson for us, not only this government, any government in our country. There should be plan and strategic plan for something like this in the future. We must have a national security council to deal with not only border issue, but crime, drugs, and immigration, and everything must happen there. And that council should comprise of both government and opposition with others that I make mention of. This is a report I'm reading here, which had done many years ago. And this should really come in enforcement in our country. It's very important. So I will say that Maduro trying to gather votes when the day of election come for him. And I hope and pray that Venezuela get a free and fair election.
Well, if they get a free and fair election, he is gone. I don't know what the incoming government will do, but one thing for sure, they will occupy a government that is stronger than what Maduro. You see, Mayor Narine, Pandit Narine, when a leader is very weak, throughout history, it uses war. That leader uses war to cement some level of staying power. It is an international trend in politics since time immemorial. A leader is falling down, he invents a war. He attacks a neighboring country and he tells people, this is the patriotic time to rally around me. That is what Maduro is doing. But Maduro is no popular figure in Venezuela. Maduro will lose the election tomorrow. So when a country goes through those crises that Venezuela is going through, who is going to vote for Maduro? Even when you didn't have the American sanctions, the man lost the election and rigged it. The whole thing came about. I don't believe the United States and Europe and other countries, they should be careful how they put sanctions on other countries, because the people, especially the working people, tend to suffer the most. But Maduro was no duly elected president, and that is where the confrontation with the United States came. Now, I want us to look at Brazil. Except for two countries, I think, you may correct me if I'm wrong, Pandit, Brazil touches every other country in South America. And Brazil has been a stabilizing factor in South America. Brazil is, I think, the 9th largest economy in the world. Brazil is one of the largest countries in the world. Brazil has the largest standing armed forces in South America. In comparison with other countries, it is up there as a major. Why would Brazil allow, especially the type of president we have in Venezuela? He is a progressive man. He is a pro-peace guy. He is leftist. He's anti-imperialist. Do you realize the implication for South America and Brazil that a country arbitrarily, without redress from international law, to invade a small Caribbean territory, and which is a neighbor to Brazil, and Brazil say, oh, just let it be? Can anyone even familiar with elementary politics, international politics, would think that Brazil would allow a military takeover of the largest part of Guyana?
I don't think Brazil will want that. I know for a fact that Brazil will want that kind of peace in South America, because Brazil is the largest country in South America, and you're right.
By far.
Yeah, and you rightfully said that it touches most of the.
I think except two.
Yeah, countries in South America. So Brazil, which everyone know that Brazil got the largest army within the South America zone, and I don't think that Brazil will allow that. But again, I'm not ruling out Maduro aggression, or aggressive mood that he in, and that he will send some kind of force to Region 1 and those areas. And that is what we have to be very careful of, because we don't, and we have to admit, Freddie, that we don't have those kind of equipment, or we are not equipped enough to fight a war. We need help. We need different countries, like I make mention earlier. And that is something also we have to look at, since we have the oil resources to equip our army. I wrote an entire article on this issue, where the Guyana Defense Force need of equipments, need of resources to help them. They must be well trained with these equipments as well. And we must able to give the Guyana Defense Force our support in all wrong. I make mention mental health is a serious thing right now in the Defense Force. It's not easy for those soldiers to be on our border, and having those people who are tank and all these things at the border there, it affect them mentally. So mental health is something important we have to focus for the Guyana Defense Force. We have to focus on their families. We must give them support because it's not them alone. They need a family support. Some of them have kids, they have wife, they have other relatives. We must ensure that they houses properly. They get everything is up to date with them. I'm not picking up for the Guyana Defense Force, but this is a critical time, and not only this time, we must remember the Guyana Defense Force. We must remember them every day. I serve as a reserve staff sergeant, and I can tell you, much more needed to be done for our defense force, and that is something we should. The National Security Council, which I make mention of, will come up with these ideas, will come up with these strategies, and we will able to implement it. Any government, whether the PPP, the AFC, the APNU, this we must focus on, because I can say this much: the Guyana Defense Force, it's working every day for us in this country, protecting all our borders, and we have to ensure that they're well protected and well taken care of as well.
Let's get back to the oil find. There's another nefarious factor into Maduro's aggression, in that he knows from his own country that the area of Venezuela has significant oil finds. So what is unsavory, and I think that this is where the world is going to come in, is that this man is not seeking to invade a country because of some wrong done to that country.
It's wealth.
He's seeking to invade a country to get its wealth. And now I want to bring that into discussion, because that when you invade another country for its gold, for its uranium, the world funds in that. The world will support you if there was some aggression from your neighbor. In this case, is a man saying they got wealth in Essequibo and I'm going to invade Essequibo. There is no way the world would allow that. And I think Maduro knows that. Maduro is just trying to scare Guyanese.
The entire nation knows that. The whole Guyana know that, because of this oil, this wealth that Guyana has at this point of time. Maduro is telling his people that, look, we will invade Guyana and this wealth will belongs to us. This wealth will be Venezuela wealth. But it can happen, and with the support from international, we will able to defend our borders. But I hope and pray that the team of lawyers and all of them are doing their work to defend our borders, which I must compliment them. Carl Greenwich, the Attorney General, and the entire team, I believe they are working to defend our borders, and we must acknowledge that as well. We must not come on programs or write in the papers about these issues, but we must acknowledge those things, because this time in Guyana, it's a critical time for all of us. All of us will face, if Venezuela drop a bomb here, all of us in problem, right? I'm just saying, all of us will be in problem, and we don't want that. I rebuke that in the name of the Almighty. We must work together.
Okay, let's look at something. I don't want to bring this up, but I just want to clarify it in case people heard Malcolm Harrypaul about this nonsense about China and Russia encouraging Venezuela. The Chinese government, and the Chinese government is a very, very responsible government. It is inconceivable that the Chinese would encourage Venezuela to invade Essequibo. For what? For what? So that is, if you were listening early to the program, that nonsense that Malcolm Harrypaul said, there and then I probably should have asked him to leave, because he is spreading nonsense about this country at a time when we all need to be actually, Pandit what happened this evening was unimaginable. I had no idea that it would have gone that way. And I think I'll be failing myself and this country and its people that I should have allowed this man to sit down here and actually instill pessimism in people, when we should be sitting here and instilling optimism in our people. That is what we should be doing. And I cannot go to the lengths. There are no lengths that I could go to apologize for allowing someone to say those things on my program. People want to say all kinds of things in other program. The law should come in and they should be condemned. But I had the capacity to stop someone from, instilling pessimism among the Guyanese people, which is something that should be further from our mind at this stage here. We have to encourage people. We have to tell them that the world is looking at us. But one of the things I want to bring out and get your views on is the World Court will be soon issuing the decision on the referendum. And Maduro knows that he's going to lose that. So it's further pushing him into the chasm of global disrepute. That you go to the World Court, you lost the thing, and then you're going to still...
Well, Maduro knows that, he knows fully aware of that, because the Vice President told the court that whether they issue what order, the referendum will take place, and they will annex Essequibo, right? The Vice President of the the Republic of Venezuela did make mention of that, so they're fully aware that the court, the ICJ, will rule in the favor of Guyana with that referendum story, and that is what we have to follow. When you come to China and all these other countries back in Venezuela, I am not aware of that.
No, I'm not aware of that. Malcolm Harrypaul that was one of the reasons for asking him to leave.
But what I can say, China and India can play a very, very important role to bring in peace between Venezuela and Guyana as well. Guyana has a relationship with both countries for years, for decades, and very good relationship with China and India. And I don't know if you're aware of this organization or what they formed recently, the last meeting held in South Africa, BRICS.
Yeah, BRICS.
Yeah, and China and India is a part of that. So all of these things you have to analyze. You have to analyze all
those
these things.
Those are two top world-class economies.
Yeah. And when you say China and Russia, well, if Russia want to back Venezuela, I just assume or allege that. Bear in mind, we have India we can go to, we have China we can go to, and there are powerhouses as well in BRICS. So peace, we want peace, and then we will lay our story. The world is watching this right now. What is happening between Venezuela and Guyana? So I would not say China back in Venezuela. I believe China will want to see peace between Venezuela and Guyana, and India as well. So let us not forget India and China. I believe they will want to see peace. And that is a one-way. Diplomacy is necessary. And let me go back, let me go a little bit to the politics on this thing, Freddie. I have read that when the first executive president faced with something like this, God rest his soul, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, there was massive trade union Congress in various countries where the trade unions had went and meet other trade unionists, and that trade unions from that country talked to the government and said we have to lend support to Guyana. And this is the channel we need to establish back. Let us not take for government and opposition. That is something differently, but we have to get civil society, the trade unions involved, and all of these people involved. A national conference, Freddie, should be held in this country already. A conference should be held in this country and have the trade unionists, the NGOs, government, and opposition on one platform to send a strong message to Venezuela. And that is important. We must come together to defend our borders. We must not bring politics in this issue. We must stand together in defending our borders. So a national conference need to be held in our country to deal with Venezuela. We must show Venezuela we are united and we will not divided, right? By the words of Maduro and his cabal in Venezuela. So the trade unionists need to play a part. NGOs need to part. The religious leaders need to be a part. The opposition need to be a part. The government need to be a part. The Jank service, all of them should be a part of this conference. And that is what Burnham had done with the trade union. The government official didn't go. The trade unionists went and talked to the other trade unionists and sent a message to their government, look, we want this. And that is the power of the people. And that's why I always said one thing. Any government, I'm not pointing out the PPP here, but PPP had done it. The Ali government had done it. Engage your trade unionists. Engage the trade unionists. They have a powerful voice in the world. The World Trade Unionist Organization. I don't even know about it. It's very powerful. Very, very powerful. So Burnham was very strategic. And those are the things we need to bring back at the National Security Council level. Let us look what happened in the past. We cannot apply everything from the past, but we can. This is a modern time. We live in the 21st century, but we can able to take something and put it in place and extend it, because you will have more people on that council, you will have more intelligence on that council, and they can able to analyze things differently, and we move forward. Let us not rule out if we come to peace with the ICJ and the other international committees support lend the support to us and this matter is settled. Let us not rule out next 50 years it wouldn't happen again. We must always cater or stand by or strategize for these kind of issue in our country. Not only today, but I'm calling for a national conference with the president, with the opposition leader, and all I make mention of to deal with Venezuela referendum and their illegal claim of Venezuela, of Guyana, Essequibo.
Well, in respect in that context, I don't think anyone can fault President Ali. I don't think he has shown any narrow approach to this issue. As soon as it happened, there was a meeting of the minds between the government and the opposition. It was taken to Parliament. There was unanimity on the issue in Parliament. And I think the president, from whatever criticism people may have of him on this issue of Venezuela, he has stood tall. Now, there's something that he has said that I think is so reassuring to this nation, and I'd like to repeat it because I think it needs to be repeated and repeated ad nauseam because it instills optimism in our people. He said that there have been assurances from very, very strategic friends of Guyana that they will come to Guyana's assistance. He said he's been given that assurance, and I believe him.
No, you believe that, but a common man on the road and a man like myself, who are these people?
No, but diplomatically, he can't say that.
Okay.
No, he can't say. No president or prime minister would say that.
I saw Rav Gonzalez make mention a statement, and Mayor Motley after the opposition leader hit Mayor Motley come wrong and spin wrong and make a statement. But let me say this to you. The people, the Guyanese people, they're agitated. They want to know what is happening. And that's why I say a conference with all these stakeholders, including government and opposition, will be able to send a different message to the people, and you will not have what happened here tonight.
But Pandit,
you will not. No. What happened here tonight? That will not happen.
No, but Pandit,
we must stand on the ground.
But Pandit, we don't have. I take what you say, but we have a patriotic duty in this part of the country where we live, in that part of the country, in which organization we belong.
I agree with you, Freddie.
To act. We don't need that. It would happen.
I agree with
Let's all come together in a meeting.
Me and you got that sense.
We don't have to come.
Me and you got that sense.
Although I agree that there should be a conference, but the opposition has to do what it has to do. Civil society has to do what it has to do. Media people has to do what they have to do. Just a minute. Hello? Yeah. We have. No. We have to talk. Right? Sure. Right. Thanks. Well, I'll see you in January. Remember, we have to meet in January, for what?
You're on a live show.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Right, thanks. Right. Sorry about that. I know it's a live show, but I have to take that call. Trust me, it's a very, very important call. The point I was making, Pandit, is that I don't want us to get fixated on this idea unless NGOs, unless trade unions, unless opposition come in one room and shake their fists, that we are going to be weaker. Each one of us have to do our own part.
How we will be weaker, Freddie?
No, I don't.
How we will be weaker?
No, we won't be weaker.
We won't be weaker. You have a force there. Saying to the
but what
we're united.
No, I take it.
This has no politics. They have no personality, but we're united here.
I take it. But what I'm afraid of is if we keep insisting that we must all meet in one room, it may send a signal to people that we're not united, and we are united.
That you have to put that to the people there, Freddie, because me and
The
you
people know, the people in Guyana are
Freddie,
united.
me and you understand that at this
No,
level.
don't underestimate
I'm not
the Guyanese people.
No,
we are united on this thing.
I am not
Let me tell you something.
underestimating my Guyanese brothers and sisters.
Let me tell you something.
But we need to show the world, the international community that.
Look,
right? We are doing we part.
Let me tell you something. You see, when it comes to politics, when it comes to some policy, the government, you have your disagreement. But let me tell you something. When it comes to this Venezuelan thing, anyone who deviate and question our country's patriotism is going to be in trouble. The guy, we think, I have to disagree with you this evening, because I think the guy, on one particular point, I think the Guyanese people from all walks of life, from every part of this country, they say, no, Venezuela what? Venezuela can't do that, and I think it has united us.
So you rule out the trade unions, you rule out the NGOs, you rule out all these.
No, I'm not ruling them out. They have to do what you and I are doing here. They have to do what you and I.
The president can't do everything by himself, in this matter. The opposition can't do everything by himself. We need everyone on board, right? And if you're able to do that, you will have a different.
But everyone,
with force.
Pandit, we are on board. There's a big conference at UG while this program, a couple of hours before this program.
I follow the program on one man. That person, I wouldn't call his name because he may be liable. He's mixing up Guyana history. And same thing took place at the Pegasus, one of the speakers. Bias speakers mixing up the history of this country, and that is the next thing we have to focus on, Freddie.
But that could be your interpretation.
No.
I haven't.
Your interpretation.
I haven't.
I did history in school.
Yeah.
I did history in
school.
school.
We are gonna do more history. But anyway, the operator signal our time has come. You want to have your concluding remarks?
Oh, thanks again, Freddie, for this opportunity on this show, and I hope our viewers out there, we united in this matter against Venezuela. And like I make mention, we will continue to work as one people, one nation, and one destiny to move forward to defend our borders. And let us do it together as one people, one nation, and one destiny.
Okay, for me, let me conclude by saying a number of things. One, I believe that President Irfan Ali has been given assurance from very, very strategic partners of Guyana that makes it a reality that Guyana will endure Maduro's nonsense. Secondly, I believe, when I'm saying this to all Guyanese people, I do not believe the world will allow Venezuela and its aggression against Guyana. Thirdly, I think the United States has a serious geostrategic, geopolitical interest in Guyana with its oil discovery. That strategic interest to the United States will not allow some imbalanced leader in Venezuela to jeopardize United States interest in Guyana. Fourthly, I do not think even for a fleeting second Brazil would allow one of the major military forces in this world, one of the largest countries in this world, one of the largest economies of this world, would allow Brazil's position in South America, would allow the peace of South America to be jeopardized because of Maduro. Therefore, I am saying to the people of Guyana, we should be optimistic and we should carry an optimistic mind with us. I believe we will win this thing in the courts, the world court. I believe we will win the settlement, the international legal settlement that Venezuela is questioned. I believe we will win that. I believe the world will stick with Guyana. And therefore, I'm appealing to you to put everything aside and stay optimistic about this country. My views on my extension of what I've said here will be on the latest television online program. It's called Guyana TV Network. You go to Google, you type in those words, it will come up, and the program will be broadcasted at 2 p.m. on Sunday, and it's called Guyana in Conversation. I make no apologies for saying anyone in this country, anyone who even in an ephemeral, fleeting moment say anything other than support for this country, we should isolate those people. This is time now to put race, ethnicity, politics, and all kinds of things aside and stick with our country. With those words, I apologize for the nonsense that happened here earlier. It should not have happened. I didn't know it would have happened, but our country comes first, and I thank the former mayor, Pandit Ubraj Narine, for supporting the position that I took earlier. With that remark, we will see you on Friday, and I say on behalf of all the Guyanese people, my guests here, Guyana is in safe hands, and Guyana will go ahead with its future, despite the nonsense from Maduro and Venezuela. See you Friday. Catch you later. Bye-bye.